Hi, I'm Kristie Clayton, founder and visionary of HERverse. HER is an acronym for Helping Executives Rise. Welcome to ConvHERsations with Kristie, where we dive into real, raw, and inspiring conversations with incredible leaders. You see, at HERverse, we're not just a community, we're a movement, a space where women leaders rise together, support one another, and celebrate our collective success. Whether you're leading as a second in command, steering the vision as the visionary or founder, or driving impact with your company as a leadership team member, HERverse was designed for you. Our mission is to provide resources, coaching, and peer support that you need to grow confidently in your leadership journey. Through memberships like Female Executive Mastermind and the Lead Her community, along with events like workshops and summits, and even personalized coaching, we are here to help women embrace their strengths, overcome challenges, and truly thrive. And that's what ConvHERsations with Kristie is about too. It's a space to share the golden nuggets of wisdom that come from authentic, heartfelt, real conversations. There's no scripts, there's no fluff, just honest insights from leaders who are leading boldly and making an impact. See, I believe leadership isn't something you do alone. It's a journey we navigate, and we don't have to do that alone. We can do it together, because together we rise. Now, let's get started with today's conversation. I am confident you are going to love it. I am confident everybody's going to love today's conversation with Cara. Cara, you are one of my favorite people on the planet, and I would love for you to be able to share who you are and what you do from your own words.
Oh, for sure. Well, first, thank you so much for having me, because you're one of my favorite people on the whole planet. And this is just a real honor to be able to talk to you and everyone in the HERverse. Yeah, I'm Cara Ehinger. I first am a mother of 8. And my husband and I, was a public school teacher, and having me home with 8 kids was not working on a public school salary. So what does everyone do? We started a business, So I homeschooled our kids, ran our business, and everything for 25 years. Then it was probably around 22 years we found EOS and, read the book Traction. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a name, you know? So in 2020, my husband retired from teaching. We sold our business, and I exited our business to become a fractional integrator with the amazing help of my mentor, Christine Reyes, and just so grateful for her mentorship. So since then, I've been doing all kinds of things, fractional integration, helping other integrators that are usually in their first few years. I love that first few years where you're like, oh, it's messy and chaotic, but you finding that structure is so beautiful. And now my newest venture is with my husband and one of our sons, and we are helping teachers get out of teaching and come to a business world with all of their skills and abilities. I mean, these people have, they show up to work on time. They have conflict resolution. They know software. They know how to direct and lead and give a presentation. And if you just give them a bathroom break, they're happy. Like, they're amazing employees, and they just would like a little space for themselves. So this whole new journey has been beautiful to watch my son also grow in his business abilities. So that's where I am now. Did I leave anything out, Kristie?
I mean, there are so many things you could say about you, Cara. A mother of 8, that always is the one that just tugs at my heart like that. And you're a grandmother now too. How many
Yes.
kids now?
I have 4, and the 5th one is coming in a few weeks. So
My
yeah, and
goodness.
the oldest will be 2 right before the 5th one arrives. So they're all so exciting. And I do not take it for granted. I get to see them at least once a week, and they're here and around, and it's a beautiful life. I'm very thankful.
Oh, that's a 5 under 2. Like, wow, that is just that is absolutely amazing. And knowing you really well, Cara, is, knowing that your faith and your family are like those are your top priorities. I can tell you there is nothing more meaningful to me some days than when I get a message from you that just says praying, right? And it just tugs at my heart because I know um you're thinking of me, you're supporting me, and you're loving me. And I just want you to know how much that means to me. But so faith is a really big piece of your life, but family really truly is like another center point for you. So tell me about going into business with your husband, and you all worked together for 25 years, but or you kind
Yeah.
of ran the business for 25 years, but now that you guys are coming together again for this venture, what is that like working with your spouse?
It's, it's pretty amazing. I think we've also gone through stages. So I'll have to tell you, like, there are stages where he was for 25 years at school and running our business. So he would go from school to our business and then come home for dinner. And it was wild and crazy. Then he would coach our basketball team and all these kind of things. But this fractional world, he's home more, So there's the first, like, oh, this is how we do it, but learning to live together again, like, this is how lunch doesn't show up. And not that he would ever expect it to, but with 8 kids, like when they were really little, I had a plan every day for lunch. But now that my oldest is 28, my youngest is 13, like they make their own lunches. So, Mr. Fractional Integrator, when you come to the kitchen, lunch doesn't show up. You make your own lunches. So there's interesting times where we had to learn to work together in a new way. And that's always fun. Like, our relationship keeps growing. We've been married for 30 years this month. So it's amazing. So then there's also um, the part that I loved most recently is we learned our Kolbe, like, I've loved the Kolbe forever and I've used the Kolbe forever. But
Mhm.
um, in one of the companies that was a client, I had a retired military, and he always said, we got to do an after action report. So it gave words to what I would do after something. And we've, been working together for a while. We had a stressful time. And then my husband brought it up. He said, like, hey, let's do an after action report on that thing. And it was so beautiful. We used our Colbys, and we figured out that he is a 7. In fact, oh, sorry. If you don't know what a Kolbe is, it's like 4 numbers that help you figure out. Um, the 4 numbers are fact finder, follow through, quick start, and implementation.
Mhm.
So I'm a 6914. That means 9 and follow through. That's like integrator. My
Mhm.
husband is a 7. I think if he's 7, I can't remember, 773 or something. Like, he's high both for quick start and integrator. So that makes him a really good fractional integrator because he wants to go and get out. And then also he does the visionary part of our new business. But we learned for fact finder, I'm a 6, he's a 7. We thought, oh, we're pretty close, right? I just do the next step. I just need to know the next step, and then I'm happy. Like, I'm like, okay, we got to get there, and then we'll learn more information and do the next thing. He wanted to know all of it. And this has been like a huge revelation in our family. And it keeps coming. I'm like, wow, this is so much fun to learn. So starting a new business gets all this new conversation and relationship depth and beauty after, I mean, we've been in business for 25 years before, but this is the
Mhm.
whole thing. So um that's been interesting,
I can
learning
imagine.
new ways to just live together in this world. Also, I would highlight that we're doing this with our son. So there are these times where my husband Mike is playing the visionary. Maximilian is he's our son, he's married, he's a father, and his wife is expecting the fifth of our grandchildren in 4 weeks or so. Um, and he's gone through college. He has a job. He's an environmental scientist, but he wants more. And he was thinking about going back to school for business. And that's really not available to him for many reasons. And we're like, well, we're starting this business. You want to help. So it's also like empowering this next generation. Um, so it's interesting to see my husband, the visionary, relate to my son as we're learning. And my son has skills that my husband doesn't have because he's of a different generation. And so it all is just this beautiful tapestry. And I'm right in the middle as the integrator in our business. Um, so I've had to have those hard conversations when we, start an L10 meeting for our business, and
Mhm.
my husband like goes into integrator mode, and I'm like, no, no, no. I'm running the meeting. You need to back up. And I need to bring him back from, okay, that's great, honey. And that we'll do that in Q4 when we've gotten a little bit further. So there's this natural kind of uh tension, but it's beautiful to be able, and he has these revelations like, oh yeah, I run the L10 for everyone else, but now it's my time to be the visionary, which I think you've experienced, Kristie. You went from integrator and everything to visionary and made a beautiful and flawless change that has changed our lives.
I don't know about flawless. It has been full of flaws that I've learned from, right? But I can relate to that and understand, that as integrator, you are used to running the meeting. And there's just some small things that I've kind of taught myself, over the last couple of years as my integrator is really owning those pieces. And some of them for me is I cannot be running whatever software we're using. Like we use 90 to run
Yeah.
our meetings. And first of all, amazing platform. Absolutely
Oh yeah,
love being on it.
totally. Every client, that's first thing. You got to get on 90.
100%. It's absolutely amazing. But what I've learned is as integrator, I was used to being the one that was like moving the screen from the, different categories and kind of going through the agenda. I'm the one that kind of took the notes. And if I'm the one that is moving the agenda and taking the notes, then I naturally go into that I'm facilitating the meeting personality. Part of me
Yeah.
like really comes out. And so I've learned as visionary, I cannot be the one that does all of those things, right? And that it kind of pulls me out of it. So it's really interesting to see like little skill sets that you can learn. But I want to go back to, so
Yes.
thinking about Cara, it being your husband that you're working with and kind of navigating some of these conversations, how do you, I think one of the biggest curiosities I have is, how do you kind of navigate, any kind of challenges within the business? Have you had any like major disagreements either between you and him or you and your son or him and your son and kind of navigated all of that? And how do you make sure that the business is staying business, and when we walk away at the end of the day, we're now family mode? Like how do you kind of keep all of that kind of going?
My answer is the grace of God. It's messy. Life is just messy and human, and we do our best. I will tell you that my kids think it's normal and natural to have, business conversations at the table. Um, my kids, like, as an example, one of my sons was in college and called me and just said, "Hey, mom, I need you to talk to my friend." I was like, "Oh, okay." And he related a situation. He's like, I know you can help him. Like, it was a long situation with, he didn't have a parent that could help steer his direct career direction. And so, um, I was like, wow. And he's like, yeah, I remember you said this, this, and this at dinner, like he was paying attention. So that was really inspiring. We do have a decision for boundaries with our son and his wife because they are over a lot. And before we even started business with them, we made a decision like Sunday, we never talk about business. We
Mm,
are all family all the time. That's when we have brunch and we do family activities, whether it's middle winter board games or summer outside. We're just not going to talk about business. And that was good. That was actually one of those hard conversations where they brought that to us and they said, okay, we do think we want to do this with you. And we realize, it's going to be a lot of time and work, but it can't come to Sunday family time. So that's been good to set that boundary at the beginning. I do think that my husband and I have done this for so long. We've kind of navigated through when we talk about business and when we don't. We also always keep Friday night date night. Our kids know this from forever. As soon as our oldest child was a teenager, their contribution to the family was that they would be in charge of Friday night and babysit. So at first, it was just like a meal. Like we would go away for 1 hour because, a 16-year-old in charge of 7 younger siblings is a little crazy. Although they were the ones that said they didn't want a babysitter because when they had a babysitter, that person didn't understand the rules and would let things happen. And the older kids are like, they didn't, they were like mad. So I think that is a real key. And we tell our kids, like our kids have even allowed it. And we've even gone on a kid's birthday, like had dinner at home, and then we'll go out for a walk or have a date time. But that's key. Like he's the most important person in my life. God, my husband, my family, then comes work. And he's the same way. So if we both have that vision and we both are always driving towards that, I can tell you, I feel it if we don't have date night. Like, if there's a basketball tournament or something comes up, we regularly try to kind of scoot it over, but you guys would understand with 8 children and, you know, all the sports and all the school plays and all the stuff, moving it on Friday is, we got to just stick to that. So I think that's like, did I answer your question? We always have date night, and we always tell our kids, you know, this is for you. You want mom and dad to go on date night, and they fully. We also, our kids have food allergies, and we have pizza and pop and movie night, so they don't mind when we leave either. They're pretty happy, like, okay, go, mom.
I love
So,
it.
and we do run the business on EOS. So I think that really helps to keep our communication. We have a once a week L10, and our son is getting to see that. And actually, a couple of our girls have done some graphic design. So they've come to L10 meetings. And, EOS is key. Having structure in your life, having structure in your business, then you can keep everything moving, even though it does kind of blur at times.
Yeah, I love that because it really does. Having date night, first of all, I think it's just amazing, right? Because my husband and I do date night as well every week on Thursday. Even if it's just, getting out of the house, like you said, for just a few minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and, going for a walk or, just sometimes we just go into Target and just walk around for a little while and, look
Yeah.
at different things that, it doesn't matter what we're doing. It's the fact that we're doing it together. Right.
Mhm.
And so I love that. It really does keep the relationship together. And then I think you're right too. Running the business on EOS is really it's keeping the structure and all the things that you're really interested. I'm really curious from your standpoint. EOS is such a big part of most of our businesses. What is it about EOS that you love so much? What is the power that it brings to the table?
Um, Gosh, I could talk about this all day long. I just love it. Um, I think the first thing I realized when we read the book and started, so I'm gonna say I self-implemented. I know we should have had an implementer, but every one of my clients has had implementers, and I see, man, the value they bring and just that they hold that space for growth. So
Mhm.
hats off to implementers. I could never do that job. Um, but the first thing was, if everybody can really lean into it and you can take an issue and say, this is really important to me, but it really doesn't need to be solved till next Tuesday. I can put it on the issues list. The amazing time you get. If these things are just around in your head and on pieces of paper and all that kind of stuff, like everybody is rapid fire. Oh, I got to go find this person to say this and I got to go do this. But if you can condense that to, is it immediate or can it wait? Get it on the issues list. There so much more time. And then the structure and cadence of support and accountability and I can see all the ways I was trying to do that, and then to mesh them together into this nice, like tapestry. I don't know why that's a theme today, but just kind of meshing them together, and it's so supportive. People are seen, they're heard, even, whatever your values are, the structure of EOS makes people seen and heard.
Mhm.
So I don't know, like I just love all of it. We do use it in our family. Not exactly the same, we don't fire our kids from their jobs or anything. But it does, we've used it as intentionality with our kids, and they don't know like mealtime is L10 time sometimes. So it works.
It does. You have to, and I think that's the beauty, whether it's EOS or another operating system, they're an amazing components, and you learn what works and what doesn't work for you, right?
Mhm.
Although I tell everybody that I meet, run purely the way that the system says,
Yes.
all of the components for at least 2 years before you make any tweaks or
Oh
changes
yeah.
to it. You've got to learn the system. You've got to get into it to really truly know if it's working or not working. And just because it doesn't work 1 or 2 weeks doesn't mean that it's not going to work. It just means you've got to get into the habits, and you've got to
Mhm.
know and understand. And listen, these people who put these operating systems together, Gino did a lot of work to figure it out, right? Like
Exactly.
it wasn't something that just happened overnight where he was like, "Hey, I've got this idea." And so all of the components fit together, and you're right, it brings so much clarity. It brings, a voice to people. Like it's incredible to have an operating system that really truly is helping you run the business. You running the business, not the business running you.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Well,
do think, there are people when they start EOS, they're like, there's a little fear in some of the components as you're getting through, um, opening things up. Like, I feel like, one, I totally tried to hack the system. I was like, how fast can we do this? Well, let's, but after seeing this in many different organizations, it's this beautiful, like, um, I used to also like beat myself up like, "Oh, why didn't I see that?" But the truth is, EOS as it's implemented, the each quarter brings about a new learning, a new it reveals something new,
mhm.
and usually it helps something, and then underneath you're like, oh, that was the problem. Like there's either a deeper problem, there's the next step, and instead of being like, oh, why didn't I see this, I'm starting to realize like, oh my gosh, look how much work we did, that now this, we can move on to this new challenge. And that's been really influential, just as I go in to new businesses, to like really honor the work that they've done and
Right.
realize, yes, you're afraid of that new part of EOS, but really, like you said, 2 years, give it full 2 years, do everything it says. You maybe don't feel like it's time to start doing quarterly conversations, but I'm telling you, I've seen it and it's time. We got to go. And
Exactly.
it's always, I will tell you guys, total truth, the first step. That's the hardest. If you can just get each person like, "Hey, you don't have to commit to this. Could you make the first step for me, please?"
Mhm.
And then they're bought in, and then they don't go back.
Agree. And I think another component of it too is consistency, right? I think sometimes team members are they're used to seeing the leadership team make decisions, and then 3, 4 weeks, months later it kind of dwindles down and it goes away.
Mhm.
And that's one thing that I tell people too, is stick with it, be consistent with it. Because once your staff, your team members see that, hey, this is not something that's going away, like it's sticking, like there's this is sticking,
Mhm.
and they're starting to see the company start working, the team start working together more fluidly.
Oh, yeah.
It really can be an absolute like game changer. But they need to see that consistency too, that this is something that's going to stick around for more than just a couple of weeks or a couple of months.
It
That
has to, you have to build the trust. I
Yes.
think, because you've broken their trust by saying, hey, we're doing this new thing. Hey, we're doing this new thing. But if you keep that consistency, then you build the trust, not only in the leadership team, but in the system. And then people can, then
Yeah.
they're willing to be vulnerable and take that next step.
Oh, so true. So true. And I love how you said that too. It's almost like an onion, just peeling back layer after layer, right? And digging deeper into, what's really happening. And yeah, it's an amazing way to really get what you want out of your business. And we all want similar things, and we just want a lot of joy and satisfaction in what we're doing. Being able to provide a lifestyle for us and our teams is really truly at the heart of most businesses. So it's a great way to do it. I absolutely love it.
I do think too, you're giving, what I always say is, you don't want to run away from something, you want to run to something. And
Yeah.
EOS is like you're running toward your 10-year goal, your 3-year goal. You see how a small step now has that ripple effect to bring you to your goal, and it makes each step more empowering and productive and helpful. And then you can also see how your part in the whole makes a difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could talk about EOS all the time.
Well, maybe we'll have to come back and have another conversation just about EOS.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, friend, this has been fun. I'm so glad we had conversation, and thank you for sharing about your family and how you all are running the business and all the things that you're doing. I love your date nights. That's so much fun. I want to end our conversation, as you know, with 3 rapid fire questions here. So, if you know me, it's honor, empower, inspire. Honor is really thinking about a woman of a past generation that has made a contribution to either your life or to the world. I'm really curious, Kara, who do you want to honor?
This is not one of those like flippant things. So I have to say Mother Teresa, because and this is like very deep in my soul. Mother Teresa and Pope John Paul II were very aligned, and they would always speak about being in the present. If
Mm,
you were in a room with them, either of them, in a crowd, and they looked at you, you would feel that connection and you would totally be present.
mm,
So, one of my very core values is to be present. And that goes for every leadership team meeting, every one-on-one, every coaching session. Everything else falls off, and I want to be in the present moment. And for my children, like, I learned this a long time ago. I am no super mom. I am totally broken. But I realized that meant I needed to crouch down and look my kids in the eye. And when I have a phone, it means that, if a kid approaches me or anyone, and I'm texting and I'm having an important conversation, but I will just say, wait, let me finish this. I want to be fully present to you. If we're talking and I'm doing, we're not fully present. So, um, that's that's a really big core value for me.
I love that. And I can tell you, I feel that from you when I have conversations with you. You are always
Aw,
present right there with me. So I appreciate that about you.
thanks.
What about empower? So empower for me really is about a woman of a current generation, a woman who's in leadership or business ownership today that you hope to empower or that empowers you to be your most.
Hmm. You want to know something funny? I have kind of two answers, but the thing that comes to mind is, my girls. I have so 8 kids, 4 girls, 4 boys, and one is married, so I have a daughter-in-law, and one is dating very seriously. We're all like rooting for this. This is going to be soon that they're getting engaged, right? So 2 daughters-in-law, basically. Um, but they it's been interesting. So like my oldest daughter has already come back and said, "Thank you, mom, for showing me the way, like that I can fully live into my family values and still contribute in a meaningful way in a business. And it doesn't have to look like, the same as everyone, but she's honored me for that already. Then I see my daughters and they've been doing some things and I realize I'm learning from them. Like, oh my gosh, that's a great idea. Let's do that together. Like they're coming up with new ways to do things. And I'm like, well, blown away. And through coaching and this new business, helping teachers get out of teaching, going to the real world, and bringing in these recruiters who see this value. In the middle, I'm coaching these women, and I just see like, man, there's just amazing stories out there, amazing women, and I'm honored to be a part of it.
I love that. That is such a beautiful way for you to share that too, because you do empower a lot of people around you. What about inspire? Who is a woman of a future generation that you hope to inspire?
Oh, sorry. You said it already, so I'm not going to apologize that my family is so important to me. And I see my granddaughters and grandsons, like actually for them, it's beautiful for them to have this, you know, um, vision of what womanhood is, right? It can be all of these things. And for my granddaughters, just like being able to give them all the skills. And I mean, right now that means, sorting bears by colors or just being present to them, like I was talking about before. And right now I have an opportunity for my youngest daughter is discerning what to do with her life. And we're walking through like, okay, these are the 5 things you're thinking about. Where are we going to shadow? What school do we need to go tour? All those kind of things. So being part of that is amazing. But empowering her to say, I don't have to do the route everyone's always done. I'm a different person and I can do the route that's going to speak to me as a person and grow me into the woman I'm supposed to be. So.
Oh, I love that. And I could not agree more. Traditional paths are not always the only path. And, carving out your own road and your own destiny is really, really beautiful. Hey, Cara, I knew this was going to be such a fun conversation and so meaningful. I just want to thank you again for spending some time with me and, sharing your story. You are such a beautiful soul, my friend. Thank you for everything.
Thank you for having me. It's so good to have you as a friend.
Yeah, you too. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and I can't wait to see you again next week. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of ConvHERsations with Kristie. I hope you're walking away with a few nuggets of inspiration, maybe a new perspective, or just a reminder that you're not alone in your leadership journey. If this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend, drop us a comment, or tag us with your favorite takeaway. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep showing up, keep leading with heart, and keep building the kind of life and leadership that feels true to you. I'll see you in the next ConvHERsation.